What's up YouTube, this is Demkeys back again with another Unity tutorial, and today I'm going to teach you how to add trees and grass to your terrain. Please bear in mind this is not a tutorial on how to make a tree. I'm going to teach you how to place tree prefabs and grass textures on your terrain. Now if you have a tree prefab and you wish to place it on your terrain, you can simply drag it from your project panel onto your scene. This is okay, but for a single tree. But in cases where you want to, say for example, build a forest with around 50 to 60 trees, placing each tree one by one would be very time consuming. So it's much wiser to place them using the method that I'm going to show you now. Alright, so what we have here is a terrain that I've made. It's not that great, but for the purpose of this tutorial it will do. Bear in mind the following method will only work if you have a terrain. By terrain I don't mean a plane or just some cube that you stretched out and flattened. To place a terrain in your scene, you have to click on Game Object, Create Other, and Terrain. Okay, this is the terrain that was created. It's not showing very well due to some reason, but yeah, you can set the size of this terrain. Yeah, okay. Also, you'll notice that I have a skybox over here which is active even though the game is not running. Many of you might know that the skybox only shows when once you run the game. Well, in order to see your skybox in the scene view, you can click on Edit and Render Settings, and here under skybox material you can select which skybox you want, and then it will show you. Let me choose something else so you'll see the difference. There, see? So yeah, back to sunshine, sunny, sunshine, sunny, something. Okay, anyways, so yeah, like I said, I've got this terrain over here. Of course, when you create a new terrain like you saw over there in that terrain which looked very plain, the terrain will start out flat and you will build it up from there. In fact, in your free time I suggest you play around with the terrain, try to build something. It's fun, I mean, time pass, you know. So, but anyways, on with the tutorial. What I'm going to teach you today is how to place trees and grass onto your terrain. From before I have imported a couple of assets over here. They're not all necessary. What you need is the terrain asset and the character controller asset. You can import these assets by right clicking in your project panel and clicking import package, and then you'll see a list of asset packages that you can import. You need to import character controller and terrain assets. Now with my terrain assets package, I got only one tree and yeah, two types of grass, so that's what we're going to use for the purpose of this tutorial. Let's start placing trees. Okay, so when you click on your terrain, you'll see this component in your inspector panel. You have to click on this in order to place trees. I don't know what you call this button. Let's just call it place trees. Oh wait, I think it is called place trees. Anyways, so before you can place the trees, What you see over here, this uh, blue color circle, is basically your paintbrush, because what you're going to do is paint the trees on. Painting doesn't mean that you're going to paint color onto the ground. It means that you're going to place trees, but then it's basically you're painting the trees on. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll see. So before you can start painting the trees on, you need to add a tree. It says here no trees defined. So first you add a tree. For that you click on edit trees and add tree. Oops. Okay. And then you click on this circle with the dot and select which tree you want. I'm gonna go with this tree because I placed a collider on it. This tree, don't be confused, it's basically just a prefab. Uh, it's an object that has been created from before, and this is what you're gonna place onto the terrain. So yeah, okay, this is what comes with the terrain assets package, but I wanted something with a collider, so I just uh, edited the prefab, and actually no, I saved it as a new prefab after adding a collider. And so yeah, we're going to use this. Now the bend factor, okay, I forgot what the bend factor was. I think this is what affects how much the trees will bend if wind is blowing. Just a minute. Yeah, yeah. Uh, the trees get a slight bend, or I don't know how much they bend when. I guess it depends on the value that you set. Do play around with this. I'm gonna leave it to 0 for now. And you click add, and there's your tree. Now, okay, I must warn you, my editor, my Unity editor seems to be having some problem. Before I started this recording, it has crashed 3 times. I had a bunch of trees over here, and when I tried to erase them, the editor just kept crashing. So if it happens to crash now, then sorry in advance. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to leave the brush size to what it is. It's big enough. Next, tree density. Just a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. I had the page open just now for reference, and I don't know where it's gone. Anyways, I'll try and explain this. Uh, Tree density. Oh, I think this is the number of trees that will be placed with each paint. Like, for example, I click once, there's these many trees. Let me change the density. Now I click there. There's only one tree. Let's change the density to 50. I click here. There. So tree density basically tells Unity how many, not how many, but whether, I don't know how it calculates with this number 50 or with some other number, but yeah, using this slider you can change the number of trees that that are painted on each time that you click. Next, color variation. This is basically how much, or yeah, it says here amount of random shading applied to trees. I tried changing the values, and when you take it to the extreme, some of the trees come out black. Let's see if I can show you. There, you can see one tree is black. So yeah, I'm not sure on what basis color variation works, but yeah, it basically gives different colors to uh, different trees, and it's actually good to have variety. Well, not that kind of variety, but yeah, uh, normal tree colors. It's good to have different colored trees. It shouldn't all look the same. Next, tree height. This sets the height of the tree that you are painting on. Like you can see the height of this tree over here. I'm going to paint one more tree, but first I'll change the height. Let's set it to 157. You can see the difference in height. Next, variation. This is a variation for tree height. So suppose you have chosen a very high density. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah. So wait, no, these are being placed down. What was this variation for? Okay, I can't remember. Sorry. Let's move on to tree width. This is basically the width of your trees. You can see here these trees are quite thin. Let me erase this. I'll increase the width. Okay, let me increase it more so you actually see the difference. There, you can see the difference in width between both the trees. You can add variety by, let's say, reducing the tree height and maximizing the tree width, and then you can change the tree height again, make something taller, change the width, make the trees thinner. So yeah, you get the point. Okay, let's erase this. Excuse me for not going onto that side of the terrain. I just don't want it to crash. I don't know if it's going to crash or not, so I don't want to take the chance. Okay, so we are done with trees. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, we are done with trees. One more thing I should tell you: if you do attach colliders to your trees and you want collision to take place, be sure to check this checkbox, because if you don't check it, then even if your tree prefab has a collider attached to it, the collision won't take place. You might just go through it. Okay, next we'll add grass. Now when you talk about grass, unlike uh, the trees, which are prefabs, 3D objects, grass is basically a texture which will be placed over here. You'll see what I mean now. Okay, the same as trees, you have to add uh, the grass texture first. Which one do I choose? I'll go with this. Okay, here you have, just a minute. Yes, here you have the detail texture, which is where you select the texture for your grass, and you have minimum width, which is the minimum width of each grass sector in meters, and you have the maximum width, which is the maximum width of each grass uh, section, not sectors. Uh, okay, I don't remember if I said section the last time or not, but anyways, it's the maximum width of each grass section in meters, and then you have minimum height and maximum height, which is basically the minimum and maximum height again of each grass section in meters. Then you have noise spread. I haven't understood completely what noise spread is, so I cannot teach it to you. Neither can I teach healthy color and dry color because they are related to noise spread. Next you have billboard. Okay, billboarding is, well, it's okay. Basically, a billboard is what you see outside on the roads or highways. Um, when you pass by it, the thing is, the image that you see on the billboard, it's not a 3D image. So it's, after you move to a certain angle, you can't even see the image. You'll be behind the image. So if you select a billboard, then your image will um, sorry, forget about the example that I gave about billboarding. I'll show it to you by placing the grass. If you check billboard, then the grass is going to rotate along with the camera, and that will give the illusion of 3D. The grass will look 3D. If you don't check billboard, then when you move around the grass, you will actually see a flat grass texture. Now, depending on what you are using this for, you might want billboard or you might not want it. It's your choice. I'm going to choose, you know what, first I'll go without billboard so you can see the effect. Here you've got the brush size, which you know what it is. Then you've got opacity. I'm kind of confused between what is opacity and target strength because I don't know, they both have this uh, I've seen kind of the same effect, like they both make the grass really thick. But anyways, do your research. You might find, if someone does find out, then please let me know. Maybe you might be able to clear my doubt. Anyways, so I'm going to, okay, you notice just now that more grass is appearing as I'm going closer. This is something that you do in order to say you don't have, for example, if you don't have a system that's very powerful for rendering, you don't want a whole lot of this grass showing up on your screen because it might slow down your editor if your system is not strong enough. So I'll show you how to do that later. Now I'm going to place some grass. I'll make the brush size a little small. Okay. Uh, yeah, I have to place our FPS character over here. Okay, now I'm going to run the game and show you exactly what the grass looks like. Okay, so you've got the grass here and there's some wind flowing. I'll show you how to do the wind thing later. But notice when I go to the side, it's quite obvious. The thing is like a paper. It's just a texture over there. So I mean, if you want it to look something at least remotely original, then you might not want this. But again, like I said, it's your choice. For whatever reason, you might want it or you might not want it. I'm going to change the grass and make it billboard. Now see what happens. As you can see, the grass is rotating along with the camera. So the player doesn't really get a chance to see the sides of the texture, and so he can't make out that it's a texture. It's, as far as he knows, pretty much real grass. So that's what billboard does. And with that, we are done with the grass section. Next, terrain settings. I'm not going to explain all the terrain settings because I'm not teaching you how to make a terrain over here, so you don't need to, well, you need to know all this, but I don't need to teach you all this in this tutorial. What I'm going to teach you is tree and detail objects, and when they say detail, they are referring to the grass. And wind settings. Okay, so I'm not sure why they have this checkbox over here, because when you uncheck it, whatever you drew is gone. But yeah, that's what this does. And then you've got detail distance. Okay, this is something important. Detail, when they say detail distance, don't confuse that with the tree distance. They mean the grass, the detail, the grass detail over here. I've set it to 45. If I increase this, then whatever is far away, if there was any detail far away, let me place a lot of detail over here, a lot of grass over here, so I can show you exactly what effect detail has. Okay, that's a lot. Like I said, I still haven't understood the difference between these two. It's gonna take me some time. But anyways, so as you can see, I've got detail at a very far distance. However, a whole lot of detail that you can see at a really far distance, it may slow down your system. Again, it depends upon your system's configuration. If your system is strong enough, let the detail distance be full. If your system can actually handle it. If your system happens to slow down, then you can do it like this. This actually, just a minute. Yeah, this actually affects it affects the actual gameplay as well, because even when the game is running, you will not see the detail at a very far distance. Watch as I keep walking, the detail keeps increasing. So you get the point. Then you have detail density. As you can see, the density of the grass, it decreases as I bring the slider down, and that affects even in gameplay. This is actually not that bad. Anyways, next you have tree distance. Okay, it's the same concept as detail distance. If you have set the distance too low, then when you're far away, you won't see the trees. Only when you go closer, then you'll see the trees. Let's experiment with this. You can only see a certain number of trees, and as you keep going forward, you see trees appearing over there. So yeah, this can help your system's performance as well. The game won't be that heavy when it's running, but it's your choice. Some people might not want the player to see these things being loaded because that doesn't look very nice. But yeah, it's your choice. If you're making a game for a really powerful system, you're aiming for really high specs, fine. You can show the trees at a really far distance and it'll look good. It looks professional. But if you're aiming for lighter systems, then you can reduce the tree distance and detail distance. Okay, next you've got billboard start. Billboard start, it's a little hard to explain how this works. It's basically at what distance will the trees start appearing or stop appearing as billboards. I forgot. Just a minute. Yeah, distance from the camera that the trees will start appearing as billboards instead of meshes. Um, you'll have to clear up your own doubt in this if you've got a doubt. Just increase and decrease the distance and watch what happens as you go closer and far away from the trees. You will notice a difference at one point, and I'm sorry, I cannot explain this very well. I tried to think up an explanation, but I couldn't. Then you've got fade length. Fade length is let me increase this tree distance and add more trees. Okay, now we've got trees and okay, we've got a lot of trees and I can actually notice my system slowing down. Okay, now we've got a lot of trees over here. You can see some trees at the end. I've set the tree distance very high, and so you can see a lot of trees over there. Fade length is the distance okay, the explanation given on Unity's website, it's a little confusing to me and it might confuse you if I try to explain you. I'm just going to show you what effect this has, if I can very well. I think this is the distance that the trees start to fade away, like from far. Not fade away, but look faded. Not sure. I'm also not sure what max mesh trees is. Sorry about that. Okay. Next we have the wind settings. Just a minute. Let me increase the detail. Okay. Now you've got grass. Where's my player? Here. Let me clear some stuff. Okay. So you've got grass over here, but you might not want it to be still. Maybe you might want it, but if you do want it to look like real grass, then you should have wind flowing. Wind flowing? No, you should have wind blowing at it, and so the grass should move as if there's wind blowing at it. So for that, you can play around with wind settings. You can either make the wind really strong or you can make it really light. Then you've got the size. Okay, again I'm confused between speed and size. I wasn't able to clear my okay, on Unity the explanation is the speed that the wind blows through the grass. That's for speed. And for size it says the area of the grass, the areas of the grass that are affected by wind all at once. So I think the wind affects like each area like it'll start from a certain area and then start coming towards this side. So if you set the size really high, then maybe the entire area of grass will be affected, and if you set it really low, then it's going to start with a small area and then come towards this side. I don't know, don't take my word on that, it's just something that I think will happen. Then you've got bending. That's the amount of bend in the grass. Again, it's to show the effect of wind blowing. I think you will, yeah, you can see the bend actually happening over here. You can either set it to 0 or you can set it to whatever. Watch what happens. Now let me try changing the size. Okay, I'm not sure what size does. You can play around with it and find out. Grass tint is the overall tint amount for all grass and detail meshes. I think this uh, tells what color your grass is going to be. You can see the tint changing. So you can set it to whatever you like. It can either be really green grass or it can be, I don't know, light orange. No, sorry, light green. Whatever, you can change it to any tint that you like. Uh, I guess that is it. Sorry I couldn't explain uh, certain options over here, but I tried. You'll have to do your research on it. But yeah, through this tutorial you should, after watching this tutorial, you should be able to place trees and grass onto your terrain. Actually, if any of you do experiment with this after watching my video, I would love to see some screenshots, so you can send it to where okay, in the description of my video down below. In the description you'll see uh, a link to my Facebook page. You can send me screenshots of stuff that you made using this tutorial on that page. I would love to see your work. Anyways, I guess we're done. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next